Live. Okay, we are live. Hey, welcome everyone to the expert webinar today, hosted by B Ninjas in partnership with Broken Peanut Media and Joshua, who is here on the screen with me. Welcome, Josh.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody. It's actually your future, or my future, your past, because I'm over here in the States. So glad to have you and glad I made it on time.
Amazing. So while you're there, we do have a few people live with us on right now. So if you're live, just let us know in the comments where you're dialing in from and say hello. And if you're not live, just type in replay so we know that you're watching the replay and we can catch up with you. Okay, so let me give you a quick intro to Josh, and so you know who this amazing guy from the past is. So Joshua Wethington is a certified YouTube consultant. He has helped brands of all sizes learn how to leverage YouTube to build an audience, to grow leads, and increase sales for their company. And I was actually introduced to Joshua by a mutual friend, Rob Elasabas, when Joshua was actually on a live stream with Rob. And I said, oh, I got to get this guy because what he's doing is amazing. And we also want to improve our own YouTube channel, and Josh was kind enough to do a bit of an audit on the B Ninjas channel, and you might have seen a bit of improvement on there, Josh. There's just a bit more work to do.
I've seen a little bit. I've kept an eye on you guys. I subscribed and hit notify, so I know when you guys are doing stuff. I'm keeping a pulse.
Amazing. Okay, so let's get right into it. I think we've got for about 40 minutes with you before you got to do other things, and so I want the audience here to really get into all the insights you're going to share around how to optimize a YouTube channel specifically for growing a business. All right. So we're not talking about being the influencer that has 10 million followers and fashion and all that sort of stuff. We're talking about how do you actually grow a business using YouTube, and Josh is the man. Okay, so I'm going to let it bring up your slide deck here, Josh, and I'll hand it over to you to do your thing.
And just real quick, I'm going to go through this at a very high level. I think it's about somewhere around 35 pages. So if anybody that's listening to this either live or on the replay, my email's at the end of it. Everybody at B Ninjas knows me. So if you guys want to see this so you can really read through it and examine it, I am more than happy to share this slide deck with anybody that wants it, because my passion is really helping brands grow on YouTube so they can increase their business. And I think video is the number one medium right now that can help everybody, especially during the world events that are going on right now. It's been really amazing just to see how everybody has embraced live streaming through platforms like StreamYard, like what we're doing. And who knew Zoom would run the world here one day. So just going into it, basically, I've been a video producer for 18 years. I've worked with some of the largest brands over here in the US and in the UK. So high level. I've worked with L'Oreal Paris, several of their sub brands in the beauty space. I've worked with several divisions of HP in the past to grow their YouTube presence. Little mom and pop shops like American Home Shield, which is a really large home warranty company here in the States. So I have a lot of experience in the beauty, technology, kind of like DIY, home improvement, and even a little bit of food and beverage, what we call over here in the US. So really diversified experience working with just different brands. And basically, the biggest question most brands ask me right away is like, why should we focus on YouTube? And so I did some research and pulled from both Google and a few other really prominent sources that, why should a brand focus on YouTube just at a high level? There's 2 billion monthly active users on YouTube across the world. One stat a lot of people don't realize that is really helpful for brands is the fourth largest content category across all of YouTube is actually how-to educational content. So if you have a product or a service and you need to educate people about your industry, how to use your product, and just help them keep up to date with what you serve and how you serve your clients, whether that's B2B or B2C, you can create how-to content on YouTube because people are actively using YouTube to solve their problems. If you sell a physical product, there has been over 50,000 years of product reviews watched on YouTube. as of 2018. So just imagine where that's at now that we're in 2020. It is the second largest search engine in the world. And just to round it out, millennials, so basically anybody between 25 and about 35, 70% of millennials are on YouTube, and millennials are 3 times more likely to look you up on YouTube, find a video about your service than they are to read your blog. So just more business specific. 4 times the amount of people prefer to watch YouTube than on any other social platform. I know Facebook has been really big. Instagram's starting to pop up. Really savvy marketers that are on the bleeding edge are starting to talk about TikTok, but the majority of people that want to watch video online say YouTube's still their preferred platform because it is about 15 years old now. About small business advertising has doubled since 2016. That's the last stat I could find. But online advertising, meaning those skippable ads that you find in front of your videos, I've done those for clients. I've created and actually done the strategy behind that. Those are growing with small business owners year over year. And especially one trend I have noticed, just to put it into context of where we're at today, is I have seen more small businesses really pivoting and taking advantage of YouTube advertising than I've ever seen in the last 10 years that I've really had a pulse on it. And why they're doing that is because of all the larger companies. So you think of the Fortune 500s of the world have basically halted their production, pulled back their ad spends, and they're pivoting and moving ad dollars all around. So there's an abundance of inventory right now on YouTube. So smaller businesses are able to get in there, get on some more premium channels for a CPM that's a lot more affordable for them. So if that's something you're thinking about, I would definitely say experiment in the next 30 days. And then just basically a mobile ad is about 85% more likely to hold a viewer's attention than a traditional television commercial. So a lot of small companies, a lot of medium-sized companies don't do television advertising because I came from that world. It's expensive to hire a production company to shoot a 30-second commercial and then buy all the airtime, where you could hire a savvy social media agency, shoot, a 2-minute ad that entertains and educates somebody, and then put it on YouTube pre-roll for way more, for less money than you could even buying television space, whether that be in the Australia, UK, Southeast Asia, or over here in the States. So I did kind of this big old timeline because I know a lot of brands focus on their blogs. So I kind of just cross compared it, a blog to YouTube. I'm not going to go into all that detail. Again, if you want the deck, I'll be more than happy to email it to you. But basically the conclusion, video is your new blog, and YouTube is the #1 video platform that is preferred by consumers right now. So let's get in a little bit to the content strategy of like, how can you as a brand be successful on YouTube? Nobody wants to be an influencer. None of us are going to be major influencers, but we can build brand awareness, build a following, and get sales off of YouTube if you dedicate enough time to it and you have the proper strategy. So YouTube came out with this themselves about 7 years ago. It's something that I've studied. They've revised it, and they've always put this in the context of creators. YouTube's always communicating to a creator, an influencer, how you can be successful, because they need creators to create content so they can get advertiser money to put in front of it. So I've slightly adjusted it to put it in the context of brands. So this is YouTube's Help Hub Hero content strategy. Starting at the bottom with help content, moving to hub, and hero, think of hero as your Super Bowl. And if I just kind of wrote out to the side of everything is like kind of what is the goal. And, help content, you're wanting to get in front of potential customers, or help content, you want to get in front of potential customers. Hub, you're building that relationship. And then hero is the sales video, is where you really introduce them into the sales of the service. As far as frequency of like how much time and bandwidth is really dedicated, I'm going to be 100% honest and upfront. If you as an organization right now can't dedicate the time, money, or resources, whether that's an external like agency or an internal position, to creating at least one video a week, I don't know if I would focus on YouTube right now. I think to really start building up the content library, to really start to see success and build that audience on YouTube, I strongly recommend that you put out at least one video a month. If you can go like bi-weekly just to start and maybe test it for 6 months, that's fine. But if you really want to start seeing results in probably the next 1 to 2 years, I would definitely consider doing weekly content. And then, like your hub content, whether that be like episodic or a live stream like Bean Ninjas is doing right now, at a minimum, try to do one of those once a month. And again, this is after you're starting to build that library. Sorry. Get your foot wet, start to kind of create that content and, get exposure. And then once you start building that audience, start asking you questions, take it to the next level and build and foster that relationship and build that thought leadership. And then once you kind of have an adequate audience, and that's different for every company, every niche, try to start coming out with what would be the Super Bowl ad for your YouTube channel. Either that's taking advantage of the online advertising, like I just mentioned, or just creating a piece of content that is more appealing to a broader audience, maybe entertains a little bit more than it educates, and has some sort of shareability to it. And we'll kind of talk about that later on. Just another way to think of the funnel, for us as marketers, and we think about the sales funnel. So if you just flip this bad boy upside down and kind of using the language we're all familiar with, help content is for awareness, hub content is consideration, and hero content is where you get your conversions. And you need this entire funnel just like you would for email marketing, social media, whatever your sales process is now. Video is no different. So what is help content? Help content is basically leans a little bit more on search, and think about it as an evergreen content, meaning what in your industry are people always searching for? There's certain topics. So if you're an IT company, and people are trying to figure out like, what is 5G? What's the best router? How do I secure my network? That is stuff that everybody is always going to be searching for to try to find answers to their problems. And you want to have a presence out there to kind of expose your brand to these potential customers, even though they don't know how to do it. This is not the time or the place to sell. This is just where you provide solutions to their problems, and you lead with that to start building your relationship. So there's kind of two different types of help content that I break it down. Like one is your branded. So if you're going to start anywhere on YouTube and you kind of like, or even start into video production and producing videos for your company, think about, product demos, tutorial videos, and then, your FAQs. Go to your customer service team and say, what are the questions that you guys are constantly answering? Like what are our users and potential users always asking you about? So we can take that list and start creating video content about that and putting that out there on the second largest search engine in the world. It's also helpful for your customer service team because instead of writing these big, long, elaborate emails or copying, pasting, they can now say, hey, go over to our YouTube channel and watch this video and kind of, find the answer to your problem right there as an extra guide. And the other stuff is awareness, like how-tos, tips, webinars, taking your blogs that you spent so much time and energy developing and really push the needle for your business in the early 2000s and kind of around 2010. But that is still good content. Do a cross analysis. See, are people searching for that on YouTube? You already have what you're going to say, the script. Basically, you just have to get in front of the camera and start producing that content fairly easy. Again, going back to the example of I'm an IT company or cybersecurity, I can talk about like just how to make your home more secure no matter what. Like what is 5G? What is 4G? Why do you need proper upload speed? Different channels on your browser or your wireless router. All of this stuff is just general kind of brand awareness, and that's specific to your industry. So, like I said, your solution and problems is another way to think about it. Some examples of help content. Some of these are from people I've worked with. Some of them are not. So like Kingston Technology is the third largest SSD supplier in the world, right behind Samsung. And they have now for almost 2 years created a weekly show where they talk about technology. And like right now, they're doing an entire series of how to build a PC. They only sell two components in that whole process, but yep, I lost my screen. There you go. Kingston only sells two components that go into an entire PC, but they're teaching you what kind of case to get, what kind of motherboard, all these other peripherals. And just, when they come to the hard drive and the RAM, they talk about that and they recommend their products along with some of the other best selling. This plumbing expert, this is a guy that's actually right down the street from me. His name's Roger Wakefield. He's not a client. I just really admire what he's doing. He's a plumber. And about 2 years ago, he's like, my plumbing business is hurting. And I have to figure out how to take ownership of my own marketing. So this guy at, I think, almost 50 years old, has been a plumber all of his life for about 25 years, went out, bought a video camera, and started doing really simple how-to videos to help his customers solve their problems, like how to fix a toilet, how to replace a shower head, things like that. Stuff that most businesses think like, why would you explain that? That's taking money away from your business in doing it. And Roger's very open and transparent about it. He's like, I would rather help them with the smaller problems that honestly, like your company's not going to make money off that. So think about your smaller products and services. Why don't just give away that information for free to build up your sales funnel and build thought leadership? And he's like, what has happened though? My company has always really excelled in foundation plumbing issues, which this is a $10,000 to $40,000 job every time they go out and do it because they're tunneling underneath the houses here in Texas, fixing leaks, and then backfilling this hole. It's a very big process. I've actually had this done to one of my houses, and we spent almost $30,000 doing it. And he's like, I would rather help them with the toilets and how to get leaks and fix leaky faucets. And that way, when they have a serious issue like that, they've already trust me because, typically plumbers are, plumbers, AC people, independent contractors all together. Everybody always treats us like we're criminals. And so by helping them with the smaller stuff, I've already built a relationship and they know they can trust me. They know who I am. And I've built some rapport with them, even though I've never met them in person. So he's seen an increase in more profitable calls because of that. I've worked with several real estate agents, and then even larger companies like Shutterstock started a YouTube channel about 1.5 years ago where they're just teaching filmmaking techniques, which is kind of a byproduct of filmmakers are the ones that are using their royalty-free service. So they're teaching them how to be better at their craft while leveraging their stock footage, royalty-free music library, and templates, and built a YouTube channel to over 100,000 subscribers in I think about 7 months' time. So it's an amazing case study. Hub content, thought leadership, the fun stuff. This is where you get a little bit more advanced. After you've gotten your feet wet, you've built some stuff. This is where you could think of, a great example would be Gary V's Daily V or now Weekly V vlog. You could do something like that if there's enough interest in your company and how to build your company, maybe how to scale it, how to grow it. There's a lot of consultants doing that. Or another popular thing right now is podcasting. Podcasting is now on its fourth iteration of popularity. I've seen that trend kind of come and go over the years while I've been in this industry. And podcasting is really big again. And it's a low barrier of entry for any company to create content. And what we're all starting to figure out, and what I've been screaming for about 2 years, is if you're going to go through all the trouble to produce a really nice podcast, like you guys have a podcast that you're putting on YouTube right now, it's a lot of work to produce this, line up guests, do research on them, interview them, have a thoughtful, meaningful conversation for 50 minutes. And I've always told my clients is if you're going to go through all that trouble, use something like what we're using today, StreamYard, for an extra $200. Go live and put that content out to your different platforms. because you can still rip the audio and then make your podcast, but now you have that video asset where you're producing value, like, bringing in experts like this so we can speak and educate, to potential customers, and, Bean Ninjas can build their thought leadership. So, like I said, hub content, leadership, live streams, podcasts, guest interviews, original content. And then other stuff, like if you're like, Josh, I hear what you're saying. It sounds like a great thing, but dude, I don't have the time and we don't have the resources right now. There's a lot going on. A great way for any brand to start getting some consideration and build that hub content, start working with influencers. I actually read an industry survey a few days ago where 80% of online influencers now, so like social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these platforms, are saying that right now, because of the times, they are willing to take a lower rate to work with any brand that they're really interested in working in, because they're wanting to work too, and they recognize that, everybody is hurting. And on average, most influencers said that they would discount their services around 20% from what their normal price is. So again, influencer marketing is like online advertising. There's, a huge variety of them. But if this is, again, something that you've thought about testing out, you might want to test working with an influencer and creating a campaign here that would last the next 3 to 6 months and allow them to even just simply sponsor a video, give a shout out. Hey, this podcast is sponsored by my friends over at TubeBuddy. If you want to learn all the tips and tricks and spend less time managing your YouTube channel so you can actually create content, download TubeBuddy today using the link below. That's a simple shout out. If you have a product, that you can send to people that are influencers in your space, send them something so they can unbox it, talk about it. Then a week or 2 or 30 days later, they can now do another video saying, okay, now that I've been using this for 30 days, this is my thought process. And then one trend that I'm starting to see a lot, especially in technology, is tech influencers reviewing products anywhere from 6 months to 1 and 2 years after the initial product release. So how does this $1,000 phone that I bought 2 years ago hold up 2 years down the road? You know what? It's doing pretty well. So that's becoming a new trend on YouTube, is to actually re-review and touch bases throughout the product use cycle to kind of let their audience know how they like it, what they've changed. Have there been updates? The first time I used it, I didn't like this, but they've listened and they've since come out with a few updates, and now those problems are gone. So I definitely, where before I'd probably give this product like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Now I'm all the way up to 9, because I know that the customer service and the company actually listens to customer feedback and they're working with us to improve it. That's a very powerful thing, especially when people are doing their research online. So like I said, goals of this is to kind of help build your audience, collect emails, and, soft sell your customers, put some influence videos out there, talk about your products and service a little bit, just to let them know that it's out there. Great examples of, like hub content. Ask Gary Vee, mentioned him before. His entire live show, all he's doing is answering your questions and building thought leadership. 99% of the people he talks to in this show will never be able to afford his agency services that start at 6 figures. But because he's been putting this show out for so long, he is now known as the international social media expert, and that is what his company does. Will Smith has created a lot of stuff. There's a reason Will Smith is shopping at Target with his family in a vlog. I guarantee you Target paid him a lot of money. Has Will Smith ever stepped foot in a Target before then? Maybe he loved him, maybe he didn't. But that is a perfect example of influencer integration. Vogue, which started out as a magazine, is now known as a media giant. Their whole series of original content, 73 questions, is an amazing series that's been going on for maybe 2-3 years now. And when you look at it, there's an entire team behind it. But if you watch those videos, what they're doing is hacking different pop culture things. They're interviewing celebrities. They're doing a tour of their home, which is a very big trend, office, house, tours on YouTube, gaming house tours. And then they kind of have like this common show format of, it's always 73 questions, which 73 questions is a lot, but they consolidate it down to about 12, 13 minutes. And that's the perfect chunk for me to like in between meetings. I want to space out. I'm going to watch this because I love this celebrity. I want to see their house and I want to get to know them a little bit better. And it's really helped their channel. So hero content, this is your Super Bowl ad. And just because I say Super Bowl ad does not mean you have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on production, nor millions of dollars to promote it. So the point of hero content, especially when you go towards sharing, is to exponentially try to increase your audience. So your question, I'll answer it right here in a second. So the shareable content is, a great example that I always point people to is Peter McKinnon. He is a online influencer. He's a photographer / filmmaker. He's based in Canada. Just go to YouTube, search Peter McKinnon coffee. He's made an amazing how to make coffee video for a company that he's actually partnered with. He's kind of like the director of marketing for the company or something like that. And I have created online content for over a decade. I've spent a lot of times creating training content. And I will tell you, this is the best training video I have ever watched. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but just go watch it. He also had another great example, which really helped his channel explode. And it was his 7 camera hacks in 90 seconds. So even if you know nothing about photography, just look up that video, look at that title and thumbnail, and about 80% of people would click on it just because what he's doing in the thumbnail. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to create this content. You just have to get creative, loosen up a little bit, have some fun, and try to do something that is going to entertain your broader audience. Because if you start getting traction on this video, YouTube's going to promote it to a wider audience. And once they watch this video all the way through, YouTube's algorithms are more likely to recommend other content to them and of your content to them. So what you're trying to do is build this video viewership funnel. Is you snag them with this, and then maybe they catch some of your hub content, the interviews and stuff like that, and then they subscribe to the channel, and then you build your audience that way. So, and if you want to, you can go and create your Squatty Potty commercial and put hundreds of thousands of dollars in online advertising behind that. So you can do this 2 ways, kind of like the traditional television, but I'm going to do it in online, or I'm going to do this like the YouTube fun creative agency way and kind of do something different from everybody else in my competition. So it's 8 camera hacks in 90 seconds. Sorry. But here are just some great examples. Again, Peter McKinnon, the School of Affluence. I've actually talked to her 2 years ago. When I talked to her, she was somewhere around 50,000 subscribers, and she had just been going on for about 3 months. Now, I think the last time I checked her channel, I think she's over 600,000. She might be at 1 million. I need to look at it again. But what she was is, she was a thought leader, and she had developed 10 years of an online website and writing a blog, teaching women how to be more influential and have proper etiquette and things like this. And she had created this really good following. And then she saw like, hey, my website's going down, all these updates, my blog's just not being read as much. I need to start putting it on YouTube. So she literally is just taking her blog and she's creating video content around that and putting it on YouTube and using just simple best practices. And she told me every time I upload a video, I get about $10,000 in sales to my online course that I created a few years ago. And so now she's completely self-sufficient. Gillette Credit Repair, hospitals have all used this. Of course, Squatty Potty. The HyperX ad is a shameless plug. One of my companies actually built that ad for them. So there's a lot of great examples here. So just real quick case study that we did. So like, how do you guys apply this? I was working with a mortgage broker who was out in California, and she's just like, I know every time I go live on Facebook, I start getting leads and I get more people in my funnel. So I need help with this. So we just broke it down, and I was looked at her entire YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, what are people always searching for? And with her ideal client, her customer, her avatar, she's like, I get questions about credit scores. I get older people always wanting to refinance because the rates in California literally go like this every week. So, you know, over there, it is not common for you to buy a house, you know, a $500,000 house, and then 6 months later refinance it because the interest rate has gone down like 2.5%. So there's always refinancing. And then she said, my industry is really struggling because with all these online applications, nobody's using a traditional mortgage broker anymore, especially not millennials. So she's kind of doing this entire series of why you should work with a mortgage broker instead of doing like a share rocket or a quicken loan online. She's like, yeah, it's fast and it's easy and they don't have to talk to anybody. But, you know, it's just you get put into one of their products and services right now, whereas I can shop anywhere and really get my customers the best deal. You know, they do a lot of foreclosures, and then there's just basically tips for buying and selling. And I said, this is stuff that's always being searched for on YouTube. So we need to develop this library right here. And then after that, I was like, she was already doing this. She just wasn't thinking about it. She was doing a monthly, like, this is the Southern California update. And I said, this is great. She was doing it sporadically. And I said, this is going to be a live broadcast. We're going to simulcast it to both your YouTube and your Facebook. We're going to do it from your desktop. Stop doing it from your mobile phone because it's not as great quality. And then you're going to just basically give a market update. And I was like, you're not going to talk about anything specific. It is super relevant. And we're going to put this out to your social media to get people following you in replay. And then you're going to send it out to your email list every month as a way to bring value to your clients so they know if they're thinking about buying, selling, refinancing, because her customer repeat rate is really high in California because they're always doing stuff with their homes. This gets you back in front of the content. This creates, gets you back in front of your customers and gives them content they want to consume. And then another thing that she wasn't leveraging is this particular customer had been originating loans in Southern California for 30 years. So she had seen a lot of market trends, a lot of ups and downs. And I was like, you have a network that you're not even tapping into. So I convinced her to start interviewing other guests so she could get in front of other people's audience to drag other audiences towards her. So, you know, she gets some exposure and can grow her audience that way. And then the last thing that we kind of started talking about is I kind of figured out, okay, what is more YouTube specific, because she wanted to get in front of more millennials. And I was like, okay, you know, there's this huge debate on whether or not millennials should buy a home or not. A lot of them think it's a waste of time. There's this entire trend of tiny homes. And then this new trend that's particularly popular, at least in the US on the West Coast, and it's called van life. And it's where people modify these vans, like these 80s vans that like I grew up riding around in. They completely gut them and basically make them a little small self-sufficient home. And they drive these to and from work, and there's all these parking lots in certain places that you can park overnight and be safe. And a lot of younger people are doing that. And I said, okay, this is a big trend. This is your audience. I said, you as, you know, a 40-plus-year-old woman who sells homes, you need to start watching these videos and react to it. So I had sent her a few that had recently gone viral. And just even listening to her on the call was hilarious because she's like, there's no way in hell this girl lives in this van and stuff like this. And I was like, see, that's what you need to do. Like, you just set your phone up right over here. Tell me which video you're watching. I'll, you know, show it on the screen and just get your honest reaction. And like, is that going to sell anything? No, but that has the potential to get in front of way more millennials because it's kind of like this whole polar opposite of, we're cool in our early 20s living this kind of hippie lifestyle. And here this 45, 50-year-old woman who's the establishment to us is reacting to it and giving her honest opinion on it, and also providing value of like how a home can't help you guys down the road if you want to start your business and things like that. So this is kind of like we broke this down into different target audiences, tapping into different YouTube trends, whether that be reaction, home tours, solo traveling's really big, and then doing stuff about, like ask me anything, kind of like the autocomplete interviews. And then we also went one step forward and I said, this isn't going to get you a lot of traffic, but I've advised other real estate agents in the past to do this, and this has helped them grow their leads, is talk about your area, kind of be like the mini influencer for like your little town that nobody's heard of until they get a job offer to move out there and they don't want to drive an hour and a half for that job. So they're like, okay, I have to now learn about this town and what's so great about it. Where are you going to do that? You're going to start searching for it on YouTube, because we as humans want to see these places before we actually get in our cars, drive out there and kind of try to start experiencing it for ourselves. So that's kind of a quick case study for one of the clients that I've developed this for. I know we popped up some questions, so if we have some questions, let's take those. And then I know there were a few people, part of the B Ninja audience that had YouTube channels that wanted to get some audits done.
Yep. So let's go to the questions. I'm going to put them up on the screen, Josh, and then you can let's get the slide deck off and we'll go questions. So first question, I'm going to go first in, first serve. So let's go with this one. This is from the B Ninjas team. How professional do the videos need to appear for marketing to be successful? Any tips specific for service-based businesses rather than selling a product?
So yeah, this is, I see the entire gamut across YouTube. There are entire channels that are built off of a cell phone and $100 gimbal and just people talking to the audience. And then there are channels where people spend literally $20,000 on their home video production studio to shoot this content. And I think that's a really big misconception that a lot of brands and honestly creators have, is it's not about the gear or exactly how professional your videos look. It boils down to authenticity. Like, are you genuinely passionate about that and just being authentic with your audience about who you are? And then two, even though I'm authentic, am I bringing value to you guys? Like, am I giving away value and helping you solve those problems with solutions that honestly don't always really affect me or my business? Like, I do a ton of consulting for people that never hire me to manage their channels or anything like that. It's just like, if somebody has a genuine problem, I want to help them solve that. And if that's 30 minutes of my time over a pint of beer or a coffee, I do that a lot of times. And then the third thing to really be successful is just that consistency. And that goes back to, if you want to try once a month, go for it, just to kind of experiment and get your feet underneath you. But like I said, I really do believe that it's about one video a week that will help a brand build enough momentum to be successful. So don't think of it in terms of the gear and the production. Think about it in terms of those human things. Like, are you authentic? Are you providing value? And are you consistently there? Because in the world of email and social media marketing, we're just being bombarded with messages all the time. So I need to be able to depend on you to be that resource that's always going to be there and helping me along this journey that will hopefully, and if you're being strategic about it, into a purchase of one of your products or services.
I like what you said about not having to reinvent the wheel. So if you are already producing a podcast or some kind of media that way, repurpose it, cut it down, put snippets in, or put the whole video up there, and switch to doing video podcasts rather than just doing audio. Because I think there's a lot more you can play with once you have the video than if you just had audio.
Exactly. I mean, in both Facebook and YouTube treat live video and video uploaded to their platforms extremely different. Why everybody does live is because if you've spent a lot of time and energy and most likely money to build that Facebook audience, you're getting now, because of the way everything's switching, at best 10%. Like every time you put a post out there, 10% organic reach of your audience. I mean, if I had invested a lot of money in Facebook, I would be really upset about that. I
Yeah.
actually have a lot more choice words, but I don't know like what the rating of this live stream is. So I'm just gonna say I'd be upset. However, if you go live on Facebook, you get an instant notification. Everybody that is in that group, follower of that brand page, a follower of your personal page, gets a notification. Are they all going to tune in live the first time? No. Are they going to do it the 10th time? Most likely not. But around that 30th time, once you've proven that consistency and they got the format, they're going to start to show up, and then you can rip that audio like you said. And then I've even gone one step further, is I break up those live streams into small clips. So I'm a
Cool.
YouTube guy first, but
Yeah.
I do clips to promote content on my Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to Rolf's question in a moment, but John's question kind of continues on from what you're saying right now, Josh. So hi, John, by the way. John's one of our consultants and one of our clients. John, the question is, I'm putting up a video up a day on YouTube. So he's doing what you're suggesting. And I want to drive traffic to the channel. So what would you suggest?
So I think I recognize the name. This is one of the channels you had me look at. So
Yes.
kind of going into that, which perfect transition. John, kind of what I noticed about your channel is, there's a lot of value there. And, I noticed there wasn't a whole lot of tags going on. So in the beginning, going back to the human aspect of YouTube, your whole thing is, get more clients, grow your business, grow revenue, build your business. And it's a lot of sales training. So you might want to think about how can, if I, who own my own little agency, who I'm struggling, and like everybody else that wants to grow it, you have a lot of great information there, and you're doing most of your stuff is live stream stuff. But you need to think about, how would I, the person that doesn't know you existed until I was given your YouTube channel to kind of take a look at, how would I search on YouTube for the stuff you're talking about? Like, don't think about it as like algorithm hacking or anything, but like, how would an actual person, your ideal avatar, search for your content? And what would they put in YouTube search? And if I found your video, would I, one, click on it, and two, once I started watching it, I'd be like, yeah, this guy's talking about exactly what I searched for, and he's providing that value to me. And with the longer form stuff, one of the things I suggested, or I was thinking about, is you might want to consider what I just talked about, is breaking down the clips. A lot of really big podcast channels do this. So like the Joe Rogan Experience has his 2.5 hour long podcast, but then he has another YouTube channel of it's called Joe Rogan Experience Clips. So when he talks to Elon Musk for 2.5 hours, he lifts that 3-minute clip where Elon decides to smoke a bowl with them, and they start talking about flying to Mars and how it's the number one goal of all humanity, and it's a must before the sentient beings take us over, even though I have another company that's building AI. I don't want to watch the 2.5 hour podcast. I love Elon, and it took me like 5 days to get through, but I love that clip that's only 3 minutes because it delivers that instant value. Another thing, it's in beta right now, but I really want to tell you about it, is YouTube's experimenting with a thing that they're calling video chapters. So for you specifically, I would say go over to the Creator Insider channel. And this is from a YouTube channel created by the YouTube tech team, where they put out updates and they're trying to communicate what's going on. Look at their last 2 update videos, because they talk about video clips, and you can see it, video chapters, down in the description. And they talk about that. And they're saying, if we want to put more people in this open beta, and it's specific for people that are creating longer form content, so you can create little chapters. So if I search for it in YouTube search and you've done this, YouTube not only recommends the video for me, but it tells me start watching at 16 minutes and 17 seconds, because that's where we get to this topic. I think that could be incredibly powerful if you can get into that beta. So go there, leave them a comment, email them. I would actually, troll them and try to get into that thing, because I think that could be a really good future product for you.
All right, so Josh, we're going to jump into a couple of those live audits. I'll bring up Ralph's question first, and then I feel the other questions will be answered once you start doing some of the channels. So let's go to Ralph. Okay, the question from Ralph is, what evidence is there that YouTube gets through to the C-suite?
It's a really good question. And I think it really depends on the organizations. And I've worked for some really big companies. I've worked for some really young countries or young companies that are a little bit, geared towards millennials. And I think that the evidence is it is the second largest search engine in the world. And if you as a brand are putting out steady content out there that is properly optimized for search and discovery, so both YouTube search and the suggestion engine that pops up like when you go to YouTube, that stuff that's on there, you will find your ideal customers and get out there and build thought leadership. Will you most likely go up to the vice president of marketing or whatever you want to do from a search? Maybe, maybe not. But nobody knew who VaynerMedia was 10 years ago when that agency started. Honestly, nobody knew what VaynerMedia was even 3 years ago, and Gary Vee had been creating content that entire 10 years. So think of YouTube as not, like this one-way direct path to get to the decision maker to like, I'm going to put a video out there. That one person's going to see it, and I'm going to get, a hot lead in my sales funnel. But over time, if you do build up thought leadership, with thought leadership comes speaking, and with speaking comes book deals, and then with all of this stuff, building your list and building your audience, and then somebody takes note of that and says, "Hey, we have this problem, and this guy is the guy that does that on YouTube, and he's the expert on it, and he has like this course and all this content. We need to talk to him." That's honestly how I get my business, is slowly building the thought leadership and doing live webinars. So
Cool. Thank you, Rolf. Hope that answers. If you have any more questions, please throw them in the comments. Josh, let's go over to have a look at a couple of channels, and then we'll wrap up after that.
Yeah. Let me actually stop my share. I'm in a different browser window. So.
Okay, cool.
Sorry. Don't have dual monitors, so. Okay. Why is my link not working? So yeah, I think the first channel, Square One, is what immediately caught me is their what we call the channel trailer, what YouTube calls the channel. It's this "We Are Square One" video. It really reminded me of the Dollar Shave Club video. I could see a lot of Harmon Brothers influence in there. If you don't know who the Harmon Brothers is, they're the largest ad agency for YouTube ads like Poopery, Squatty Potty, things like that. But it caught my attention right away, and that was really good. One thing that I kind of noticed is this video is about 3 minutes long, so I would maybe experiment with making about a minute 20 shorter version to where it's an intro. This is kind of who we are, joke. This is something we do, joke. This is another service we offer, joke. This is something we do. Hey, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, or get this ebook, get this online offer. So that's one thing that kind of caught my attention. I really liked the channel banner up here, this thing right here. And then when I went over into the scroll down, I loved that you guys had taken the time to create this whole design thinking and the customer journey series. And I think if you're going to start with YouTube, think about, what is a series that you can do and develop. And I started watching this, and I thought it was really informative and informational and great content. But one of the things I kind of noticed is when I clicked over to the videos, it's like this channel banner pops out so much. And I noticed the latest video is kind of incorporating some of that design. So it really connected me with the visual brand, and like this is an agency that appreciates good design and visuals. And in that series, I didn't see that. But I see in the newer videos, you're starting to kind of experiment with that. So one of my bits of advice is I would go back to this design series and maybe rethink the thumbnails to put them in that visual brand that will help them pop out. And maybe where you were thinking a little bit more of like, I'm lecturing in front of a class, breaking it up, try to make your titles more conversational on YouTube. So if we have a thumbnail that pops, that shows eyes and kind of tells a story like a photograph, and the title has more of a declarative statement or asks or poses a question, that really helps with conversions. And so I would kind of go back through and re-optimize this series from that standpoint and see how that works for you.
That's awesome.
And then my last comment on that is, I love this series, but, and this is applicable to anybody, is like when you're creating these series and you know that YouTube's going to be your number one driver, really think about, your goals of the YouTube channel. So, hook the viewer right away to keep their interest, and then kind of do a little bit of branding, and then kind of introduce yourself, figure out what is your elevator pitch is the best way to put it. Put that elevator pitch into every video. So when I create content, I say, hi, my name's Video Joshua, and I help you grow your business using video. If that's something that you're interested in, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'm creating weekly content to help you with that goal. Today, I'm talking about blank. That is in the beginning of every one of my videos that I'm starting to put out, because over time, I don't know when somebody is going to find my videos on YouTube. They could be a subscriber. They could not be a subscriber. They could consume most of my content and never subscribe to my channel because the algorithm's so sophisticated. But having that call to action to subscribe, having those call to actions to leave comments or pose a question in the middle of that really builds up engagement with people. So think about putting those little triggers in there. So,
good tip.
And then I think we have our friend John, which let me kind of show one thing that also kind of caught my attention with him. So yeah, more clients, more revenue, more often, consulting unleashed. And John, this is immediately just like as a perfect stranger, what stuck out is the top part of your banner is, it's very serious. It's very almost like Godfather-ish. There's this heavy drop shadow. Your face is dark. And I'm like, man, this guy like is going to teach me like how to go around and collect bills. And I got like, I'm like, I don't know what I think about this guy. And then I scrolled down and I went over to your video tab. And I'm like, okay, this is a nice guy. Like he's smiling, he seems like he has some energy. He travels to the beach. I love the beach. And I was like, my first impression, I was like, ew, this guy might scare me a little too much. I don't want to work with him. And then when I clicked over to your Facebook group, why I do this is, one, YouTube, we all make snap judgments. And that was my snap judgment. And I had to look further down. And I was like, okay, I think this guy's good. I watched some of his content. I'm like, okay, this guy's actually kind of personable and he's actually really intelligent. So I'm going to keep on watching your channel. But one thing I noticed is when I clicked over to your Facebook group, right away, your banner art over here is, go away, Facebook page notifications. I love this banner art. More clients, more revenue, more often. This big gold streak. It looks sophisticated. I can see what looks like younger people kind of running digital agencies and growing their business. And I'm like, okay, I can get that. I jump on board and the text pops out to me. Whereas over here, I have like the Godfather vibe. So like Godfather vibe and then like really fun and inviting over there. So and that goes back to your visual brand because YouTube is a visual platform. So that title and thumbnail is the first thing that the potential viewer sees. That's the impression. And they're making that snap decision of whether or not I want to engage your content, click on it and start viewing it. Because YouTube's a very sophisticated search and suggestion algorithm, because right next to you on my homepage are 12 other options that I can easily click on, some of which from people I subscribe, some things from people I've never seen before and some things from stuff that I've constantly researched. So you just have to really think about that kind of visual branding. And then outside of that, like I said, I think the video chapters is going to be a really powerful thing. And then over here on your website, which I was having trouble to load, everybody that's in a brand, you know, if we're all running companies and we're using YouTube to kind of build ourselves and grow our companies, we need to think at a minimum, like outside of our content strategy, we're going to build our audience, but how do we get people over into that email funnel? So, what is that offer that you can provide somebody right away? And this can be the offer that we can sprinkle across our channel banner. You know, like I would have an arrow to be like, my 10 tips to scale your business right now during COVID-19. And I would just give it away for free, make it a real quick ebook, maybe do a few videos on it if it's a topic you're extremely passionate about, but have that just going over to a landing page so you can build that email list passively. And then in the descriptions and the links of all your videos moving forward, you can use that. So if nothing else, you're building your list so you can kind of build this thought leadership over here on YouTube while solely soft selling, sign up for my email list, because the majority of product sales from both a product and a service standpoint still happens on your email list, which was something I didn't believe until I really did research on it a few years ago. And I was like, man, I got to build an email list. So that's something that kind of caught my eye on your channel. And
Okay.
then let's see, I think the last one we had was the Bean Ninja money
Money
mindset.
mindset. That's Michael's.
Yeah. So this is a perfect brand new channel kind of going there. And one of the things that immediately, you know, kind of like I talked about the banner, the email offer, I think I clicked over here and the about page. And a lot of people just don't give the about page enough weight. So this is especially with a new channel like this is where you can really kind of tell people what you're all about. You know, like who you are, what your experience is, when are you going to be uploading your content if that's a weekly thing? Do you do live streams? Um, you know, and like why somebody should subscribe to the money mindset, you know, the B Ninjas money mindset channel, you know, where I said you need your elevator pitch that has to go in every video, where that has to be 2 to 3 sentences. This is where you can be about 2 paragraphs. And if you've done your keyword research using, you know, just even YouTube, just searching for like, how would I search for my own content, or using a tool like TubeBuddy, this is where you can kind of start to use those channel keywords and integrate them into your description. So that way, especially in the beginning, YouTube is looking at your channel keywords, your description, the type of content you're uploading, the metadata on that, to kind of really figure out what is this channel all about. And then once it figures that out, it puts you in a hub of other channels that are similar, and it starts kind of cross promoting your content to people. And that's where it starts to get more information on our people clicking on your titles and thumbnails when it suggests them. If they are and they're watching longer, your channel grows. If it's not, they stop promoting it organically, because YouTube's number one goal is the viewer. They don't care about the people advertising. They don't care about the creators. Their number one thing, when it all boils down to, is if YouTube did not suggest the content that the viewer wanted to watch, nobody would use it. Their 2 billion users would go away. So you have to think about that. And the about page is a really close thing. The other thing that kind of caught my eye real quick is I loved in this video, you know, it's like this logo and there's really action-packed music, which I'm not going to play right then. And then it's like, hey, this must be that Michael guy over there, and he's talking to me, and I see a spreadsheet. And I can tell he's probably using some type of screen recording software, which is absolutely fine. It's a great way to create stuff. But don't discredit the amount of having you full screen on camera in the beginning, even if it's just at the beginning and the end of your content, to say, hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Michael, and we're all, this channel is all about teaching you how to manage your money as a business so you can exponentially grow. No idea if that's what this channel is really about, but that's sales pitch. Today, I'm going to show you how to use this really cool cash flow forecast so you can make better business decisions. And then we go to that logo, and then we're like, hey guys, we're right here in the template. And he shows us how to use this really quick. But when you're full screen on camera, make me full screen real quick. Just solo me out on the live stream. It's the little kind of person thing right there, and then stop the screen share. Okay, so when I'm full screen like this and I'm right here, I'm lit properly, I'm looking directly into your guys' eyes because you're my audience, and I'm talking directly to you. There are so many psychological triggers this builds as I'm starting to communicate to you. So don't miss out on that opportunity to connect with your audience, even if it's only for the first 10 to 15 seconds, and then you show them how to use your software or anything like that. Another tip that I like that we learned long ago is having yourself on screen, even when you're doing tutorial based videos, especially on software companies explaining how to use software. We are more likely to engage and stay connected and watch longer if I can see a human's face that's talking to the camera and explaining it to me. If you want to go like one step up, I do this in my content I'm about to release. It's all about YouTube analytics. So I'm showing YouTube analytics and explaining and showing how you can manipulate the data. Super exciting. But I'm either showing you how to do something on screen, or I actually do a physical camera turn, and I had my camera set up here in this composition. And whenever I was talking about theory or why you should care about this or how you can take this data and apply it to your video to scale your YouTube channel, I stop the screen share and I'm talking directly to camera and I'm full screen and I'm communicating with my audience and teaching you how to take what I just showed you and apply it to your video content to grow. It's extremely powerful. So at a minimum, the beginning and the end. And if you start getting into more philosophy and as you get more comfortable, I would just basically say, is there anything I'm doing on screen that's worth and brings value to the viewer? If no, go full screen, talk to the camera. And it's very powerful learning triggers right there. The other thing.
All right. Whilst we're
I had one.
while we're here, Josh, okay, let's do it. Let me just bring up the screen. There you go.
The last thing is I'm not sure like what this was with the internal document or whatnot, but I was like, okay, I'm interested in this. How do I get this? And you kind of showed me, but it would have been a great opportunity to put the link to it, or even in going back to your channel banner, this could be your free giveaway to build that email list and get them into a drip funnel of, like how to properly forecast your business thing. But I'm seeing this great tool, but I don't know how to access it. So that was my last comment on that.
Cool. Let's just bring up a quick question, which Michael did ask related to videos and more around just, you mentioned keywords and Google search and how they're kind of related. So any tips for naming the video or what to put in the description? You mentioned putting a call to action in there, which is great. And does the SEO concept of keywords apply to YouTube as well?
So great question. One trend I've definitely noticed on YouTube is titles themselves have gotten shorter in length. And I've seen this trend of either making a declarative statement or posing a question. So like you see this a lot of times with tech reviewers, like their thumbnail is this, and this is a black box and it has like a giant white question mark. Unbox Theory is really popular about this. And it's like the most expensive cell phone in the world. Can't see what it is, but my phone's $1,000 and that hurt when I went and bought it. I want to know what the most expensive thing is, and it gets you thinking. So it makes you want to click on that thumbnail. Or, like the best software or 5 tips that can help that you can instantly use in your business to grow revenue or something like that. When it's kind of short and more declarative like that, that increases the clicks. And you have to keep in mind, it's all about the thumbnail too. Does that thumbnail tell a story? Does it create enough intrigue? As far as the SEO, when you're starting out on a branded channel or any channel in particular, SEO is a lot more important, especially in the first about 48 hours to 2 to 7 days of the video, because YouTube needs that metadata to figure out what that video is about and who to promote it to. So as you're growing, and you'll see right now, there's no tags on this video using my little TubeBuddy tool. So we're kind of hurting ourselves if we're not doing that keyword research and doing a little bit of tags. Now, I don't want you to get super granular or anything like that. If nothing else, like I said before, think of 3 to 5 ways an actual human would search for your video. What topic do you cover? So if I were to actually search for that, you'd pop up, I would be happy and get value from your video. So don't think of, like, oh, so-and-so company's doing this, so I'm going to copy their tags to try to get suggested. Like, all of that old stuff, none of that works. YouTube's way too sophisticated for that. So just think of ways an actual human would search for your videos. And then when you're starting out, do a little bit of branding. Put your channel name, put your company name, put your own name if you're the face behind the channel, because you want to try to help YouTube think as quickly as possible, this library is tied together. So when somebody watches one of my videos and they start suggesting it, they want to do another video from your library. So think about it in terms of that.
Good stuff. All right. So I think we're just a bit over time, Josh. So before we end this one, let's do a couple of things. One thing I want to let people know, let's take that off the screen. I'm going to let people know about your nice gift, bonus gift for everyone who's watching right now and listening. You can grab Josh's 7 steps to your YouTube success guide. Just head over to brokenpeanutmedia.com. The link is on the screen if you're watching, and that way you can connect with Josh. John Loga actually said that he's interested in hiring you, Josh, just from watching this. So here's proof that B2B works.
B2B works.
I'll let you guys follow up and have a nice chat afterwards. And also, B Ninjas also have a nice gift for everyone watching as well, which is a free 15-minute cash flow call. If you're trying to work out if you have the budget to put into video marketing and hiring Josh, then jump on this free call and we'll help you work it out.
They can help you find the money. I like it.
100%. So bninjas.com/cashflow. Just go to that link and you can book that in with Michael. All right. So Josh, let's wrap it up. I'm just going through the questions here. We have, most of them have been answered. We've got Craig. I think Craig, you have a relationship already. Craig saying, Josh, can we see the coffee mug again? It's just the biggest one in the world.
This is actually my Arctic. In the morning, it is filled with coffee. Right now, I'm on water because it's it's about 7 p.m. my time. But yeah, talking and doing live stream, and I do a lot of one-on-one consulting. So I talk a lot, so I need a lot of water. But yeah, this is iced coffee in the morning because I have 2 young kids. So
amazing. All right. So again, everyone, thank you, Josh, for your time today. It's been amazing. Love the audits. I know we got a ton of value here. If anyone wants to connect with Josh, head over to brokenpeanutmedia.com. You can grab his 7 steps to YouTube success guide there free. And then just follow what Josh is doing. Check out his YouTube channel and see what his clients are doing as well. Thanks again for your time, mate. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
And